This offseason, are the Niners going to make a Brandon Aiyuk contract extension a priority going into the final year of his rookie deal? Could San Francisco, going into Super Bowl 58 against Kansas City, bench Chase Young after some problematic plays were put on tape against the Lions? And also at the back end of the show, we're going to take your questions right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report from our loyal subscribers. Let's start off with the latest on Brandon Aiyuk. So 2024 is going to be the final year of his rookie deal after San Francisco exercised his fifth-year option. This year, the best year of his career. Second team All-Pro, even though he was snubbed from the Pro Bowl, but All-Pro honors are what matter, and the real ball knowers know that. And according to reports from Ian Rapoport, San Francisco wants to make him a priority in locking him up to a long-term contract extension this offseason. He's so good as a wide receiver. He's really grown his pass-catching route tree, route-running arsenal. His swagger, physicality is key to this offense, and he's such a good team leader, as well as a run blocker downfield who plays with absolutely no fear. Here's what Ian Rapoport had to say about Brandon Aiyuk. My understanding is that this is a big-time contractual priority for the San Francisco 49ers. This offseason, they want to make sure that he is around for this football organization for a long time. It's easy to see why. Because Aiyuk has been everything that you want in a first-round pick, who is a little bit raw at Arizona State. Started his college career at the JUCO level. But in that COVID season where teams didn't have normal training camps, no preseason games, it was tough for rookies to get acclimated. And even though he missed a couple of games, he still turned in a very, very good season with 60 catches, 748 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And what you also want to see from a former first-round pick, elevation in his game, improvements in his game, a guy who continues to work on his craft, get in the lab, and improve. And as you can see, every single year, Brandon Aiyuk's production has increased. 748 yards in year 1, 826 in year 2, more than 1,000 in year 3, and this year he led the NFL in yards per catch at 17.9. That came on 75 grabs as he emerged as the Niners' #1 wide receiver, a career high both with average yards per catch and receiving yards at more than 1,300, and he also had 7 touchdowns as well. The issue here with San Francisco is how much money Brandon Aiyuk is going to demand. Because with the wide receiver market exploding and with Brandon Aiyuk steadily improving, he's probably going to want to ask for something in the neighborhood of $20 to $25 million. Keep in mind, the NFL salary cap is going to increase to about $240+ million. So the Niners will have more money at their disposal. I don't think Aiyuk is going to demand $30 million like Tyreek Hill, $28 million like Devontae Adams. You see where Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf are. But Brandon Aiyuk is going to be somewhere in this neighborhood, and the Niners have to prepare for that. And are they going to be able to keep this band together? You look at the core of this Niners offense. Some of these players are still young, and judged by how they played this past year, I do think they still have a lot of gas left in the tank as a core offensive grouping. Now, Brock Purdy, clearly young. He's in year 2, but you're going to have to give him a contract extension at some point. You're going to have to give Brandon Aiyuk a new deal. You already paid Deebo Samuel last offseason. Christian McCaffrey making a lot of money at running back, but are you going to want to reinvest in a running back who has a lot of tread on the tires, who's getting a little bit older? And then George Kittle, first 1,000-yard receiving season since 2019 for him, and the only tight end in the NFL to have more than 1,000 yards this year. He continues to look really, really good, even though he's been in the league for a minute. And the San Francisco team in totality has a lot of players who are among the highest paid at their positions. Christian McCaffrey, about $15 million a year. Deebo Samuel making a lot of cheddar. George Kittle, Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave. You, of course, have to factor in Kyle Juszczyk into the equation. If you want to bring back Charvarius Ward, he could demand somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $20 million. Eric Armstead is in that category as well. So A lot of these players are making a lot of money, and San Francisco's going to have to get creative with their cap flexibility. If you want Aiyuk to be a long-term Niner, I do. I think the dude's special. I love the way that he plays, and honestly, he's emerged as one of my favorite players on this Niners team. I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Next up, are the Niners going to bench Chase Young? There's some context here that we have to uncover. I saw this tweet from NFL Notifications. Obviously, they're not crediting anybody with a specific report here, and you can't always trust these types of accounts that are aggregators on X. But they did say something that we were talking about on Sunday, that the 49ers will consider benching defensive end Chase Young for the Super Bowl matchup against the Chiefs. Young has made a habit of taking several plays off, and the 49ers have started to view him as a liability. Why his effort has come into question. When he was traded from Washington to San Francisco, the buzz out of the Commanders organization, what we've heard here at Chat Sports, and these reports were made national, was that some Commanders players didn't really get along with Chase Young because the word in the building was that he took plays off. He has elite level athleticism. When he wants to turn it on and put forward effort, spectacular player who's a physical specimen, right? But he takes plays off, as we saw on that Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown run when other Niner players did fail to make tackles. But Chase Young was just kind of trotting downfield. He could have made the tackle on Jahmyr Gibbs, kind of gave him a lazy swipe, and Gibbs went into the end zone. And those types of plays, people have been accustomed to seeing them from Chase Young. And it's kind of shocking because at 6'5", 264, he has so much ability. This year, 7.5 sacks. I don't think that he moved the needle all that much for San Francisco. I would not give him a long-term deal. I'd only be comfortable in giving him a one-year contract. But with the player who's in a contract year, who has this much ability to take plays off, that is problematic. And that's kind of been the word out on Chase Young. The issue here is that you're a little bit thin at defensive end because Clelin Ferrell was placed on season-ending IR with a knee injury. And he was taking a lot of snaps away from Chase Young when he was playing and healthy. But now that you're without him, you're forced into having to play Young, who, to his credit, after that awful, embarrassing effort on the Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown, did make some good plays later in the game. He had a pressure, made some good plays against the run, and he turned it around a little bit. I'd be shocked if the Niners bench him, but it's, of course, an interesting conversation. Should the Niners bench Chase Young? B for bench, S for start. That is today's poll question. We're going to make that the pinned comment, so make sure you go on down and you share your thoughts with us. Today's San Francisco 49ers report is sponsored by Prize Picks, the largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America, and they have the best deal that any DFS app has to offer. What is it? A $100 deposit match, but only if you use that link at the bottom of your screen, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and use the code CLNS. They make daily fantasy sports so easy. You pick two or more players, you choose more or less on their projected stats, and you have the opportunity to win up to 25 times your money. Going into Super Bowl 58, they're also running this tremendous promo that will allow you to have an easy pick at your disposal. I know that the Niners secondary has been pretty good, with the exception of holding up on third downs. I'm pretty sure that Patrick Mahomes is going to have more than a half passing yard. So I'm going more there. San Francisco has really struggled to contain the run, and Isaiah Pacheco is a really physical back, and the Niners haven't been a good tackling team this year. So I like Isaiah Pacheco more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown combined. And I do think that Brock Purdy is going to have to win this game with his arm like he did against Detroit. And he's had some really good playoff performances in the rain against the Packers and then coming back from 17 against Detroit. I'm going to go more than 248.5 passing yards, and what a Cinderella run it'll be for Mr. Irrelevant to put up a big performance against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. You can tell me with your selections if you want. Rapper Meek Mill also loves to play Prize Picks as well. prizepicks.com/CLNS. You pick two or more players, more or less on their projected stat lines, and you can win up to 25 times your money. Now let's start to take your questions and your super chats right here on the Niners Report. This one coming in from John Edwards. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Love the profile picture there as well, repping the Niners. The Steve Young, Brock Purdy recent conversations together are really paying off. Purdy looked like Steve Young, running against Detroit, demonstrating his heart and will to win. His teammates really inspired. When Brock Purdy can have conversations and he can learn from Steve Young and Joe Montana, who helped lift the Niners combined to 5 Super Bowl championships, how great is that for a young quarterback to lean on 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time? And the conversations with Steve Young, John, you make a good point. Look, in the playoffs, a lot of teams are going to play zone. They're going to play man. They're going to send the blitz at you. They want to see if you can respond to the blitz. They also know that you have some really good weapons. So if you mix in a run here and there, those runs can be momentum changers. They can change the complexion of a football game, and they can be massive plays in huge moments. That's exactly what happened against Detroit. As Brock Purdy, you're right, did look like primetime Steve Young. Big Hurt, a $20 super chat, full of emotions because of that awesome comeback and seeing my actual Army unit on TV. During the Star-Spangled Banner, I was stationed in South Korea. Also, Wilkes got to get his act together. That is awesome, Big Hurt. Thank you for your service, and thank you for supporting the show. I imagine you were full of emotions. I thought it was a great wrinkle that, given the current tension in America, how the Niners trotted out the American flag in the shape of the United States. The Blue Angel flyover was very powerful. I got emotional during the watch party. And as for Steve Wilkes, his adjustments against the Packers, his adjustments against the Lions were really good, and it allowed, specifically in that NFC title game, for San Francisco to really play fast and play physical. I love what I saw from that defensive unit, but he has to be better for 4 quarters going up against the likes of Mahomes and Andy Reid. Joji Alvarado, hopefully I pronounced that right, $30 super chat. Thank you for that. Love you, Chase and Trizzy. Chip, thanks for leaving at the right moment. Blood pressure and heart rate extra high last night. Chase over Thomas Mott covering the Niners. Facts. I appreciate you and the team here. My man, thank you so much for that compliment. Really do appreciate that. And if you're a female, thank you, my lady, for that as well. I don't know, given your name, but either way, your support of the channel, greatly appreciate that. Thank you for the kind compliments. We've had a record-setting last month of the 49ers Report. We've reached more than 2 million people. Our watch party against the Lions had more than 600,000 views. Our watch party against the Packers had more than 330,000 views. And now we're going to the Super Bowl, and our coverage is going to be fantastic. This job for me is a blessing. I don't take it lightly. I wake up every single day so excited to throw on this headset, get in front of the camera to chop it up with all of you. So this job is awesome, and I absolutely love it. Thanks to people like you. John Edwards, another $20 super chat. The media will build up Patrick Mahomes as if he is a quarterback god for 2 weeks. Purdy will have to deal with media uncertainty and ambivalence, giving the Niners as a team all the motivation they will need. Brock Purdy's going to have to deal with the narrative that he's a system quarterback, that he doesn't deserve to be here. If anything, though, Brock Purdy has deserved this. He has earned this. Comeback against the Packers. Comeback against the Lions. Don't sleep on Brock Purdy. What he's doing is for real. And look, it's not just about how tall he is, how strong his arm is. It's not just about that. He has mature quarterback skills, mature quarterback instincts, and if he beats Patrick Mahomes, what are the people going to say next? Isaac, props to Dan Campbell for staying true to who they are and what got them where he went out on his terms, but Big Cock Brock would not accept defeat. Look, this is a big talking point that I discussed going into the NFC Championship game. I said the over-aggressiveness of Dan Campbell could win the Lions the game or lose Detroit the game. And the conservative approach of Kyle Shanahan could win or lose the Niners the game. Dan Campbell going for it on 4th down with an opportunity to go back up by 17 after they forced a field goal for San Francisco on the first drive of that 3rd quarter, which was a win. You could have set the momentum. You could have set the tone. You could have gone back up by 17, and that Niners team and the fan base was already fractured. There were Jared Goff chants at Levi's that were heard audibly on the broadcast, but he goes for it there. Niners score a touchdown, and then they come out. They force the fumble on Jahmyr Gibbs. They score another touchdown just like that back in the football game. And then they scored 27 straight points in the second half. That's momentum right there. It's a real thing. Thank you, Dan Campbell. Niners super fan. They should not bench Chase Young. He's probably hung over all the stress. Look, you're a professional athlete. You got to deal with stress. You got to deal with some of these pressures when you're an NFL football player. And I just don't accept how in an NFC championship game, you're going to jog to the ball carrier and just give him a little swipe. That's not an effort. That's not a quality pursuit of the ball carrier trying to make a tackle. That was kind of lame from Chase Young. Now, to his credit, in the second half, he did make some better plays, and I agree. I don't think the Niners will or should bench him. Big Worm, thoughts on Ryan Clark finally giving Brock Purdy the credit he deserves. Look, what Ryan Clark said last week was phony. He said, the hardest thing, first of all, so dramatic, the hardest thing I had to do was act like Brock Purdy was among the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Where's Josh Allen right now? Where's Lamar Jackson right now? They're golfing. They're going to Cabo. Where's Brock Purdy? He's getting ready for a Super Bowl. What did Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson not do? Come through in the clutch. Give the man his flowers. Give credit where credit is due. And that just means that Ryan Clark, when he did praise Brock Purdy all year, he didn't mean it. But he walks around and he tries to have his approach of being an analyst, that he's a real one, and that he stands on what he says. But you basically admitted that you lied to the people and that you didn't stand on your business. But credit to him for finally giving Brock Purdy his credit. Super Bowl rematch. I want everybody to type FKC in the chat. Let's take down Kansas City. I don't want to hear Kansas City. I want to hear San Francisco. Thanks for watching the show. We'll see you in Las Vegas. Don't forget to subscribe.